Hello YouTube, Dave here again. So big news was a couple of days ago, Wizards of the Coast officially announced their latest adventure book that's going to be coming out on May 21st, 2019. The title of the book is Ghosts of Saltmarsh, and it is actually another product similar to Tales from the Yawning Portal in that it is a collection of older modules updated for D&D 5th edition. Now, issues with the name that I had aside, Tales from the Yawning Portal is probably one of my favorite 5th edition products that has been released so far. I think it's one of those things that is going to have more universal appeal, because even if you homebrew, the majority of your adventures, there may reach a point where you just have a bit of writer's block or there's a gap in the story and you need to fill it with something. And having these modules that you can just take and drop into your ongoing campaign, I think is something that is really, really great overall. And I'm happy to see another one of these, and I hope it's something that we continue to get going forward. Even, and it's totally okay if they space them out like once every 2 years. Like, they don't have to have one necessarily every single year, because I think it'll sort of lose its shine if if it's something that just keeps happening and happening and happening. But if they take their time with it and create sort of a strong theme that sort of ties the modules together and put their work into that, then I think it's, again, something that's going to be really, really awesome. And I think this is one of those, again, another one of those products that even if you are a homebrew DM, this is something that I think is going to be very much worth getting. Buying the dedicated, like, single story campaign books is something that's not really geared towards DMs who like to design everything themselves, or DMs that have the time to design everything themselves. So these products, I think, are going to be absolutely fantastic. So I cannot wait to get it on May 21st. So you may be asking why I have a copy of the 3.5 Dungeon Master's Guide 2 sitting in front of me. And I will get to that in a moment, but first I should sort of go over the adventures are going to be included in the book. So there are 7 total, and unlike the Tales from the Yawning Portal, where all of these adventures where all the modules that were updated were like, in single or dedicated module releases for, like, AD&D or D&D 3rd edition, and even they had the one from the D&D Next playtest era. They actually have 3 modules which are directly connected, so it's a series of modules. The U series, which I'll go over the titles here in a moment, a series that I've never actually had a chance to read through myself, so I'm really looking forward to getting it. But the other 4 adventures from the 7 are actually taken from the pages of Dungeon Magazine. And of the 4, I have 3 of the issues with the original adventures. So I'll just sort of read the little brief description in the table of contents for the magazine, and I'll flip through the adventure so you can see some of the artwork and stuff that was in the originals. We'll sort of go from there. The reason that I have the DMG2 here is because the DMG2 for 3rd edition, or 3.5 actually, to be more specific, actually had the city of Saltmarsh included, fully fleshed out. The point of this book was was geared towards beginners, beginning DMs, and helping them sort of design their own worlds or settings or stuff like that. So they included Saltmarsh as a fully completed example of just creating an adventure. And it even mentions the U-series modules that are in here that this was taken from as well. So those adventures were U1, Sinister Secret of Saltmarsh, U2, Danger at Dunwater, and U3, The Final Enemy. And again, I've never actually had a chance to read them, but it seems like, and the cover sort of seems like, it almost like a, I don't want to say Lovecraftian, because I don't know if that's necessarily accurate or not, but Saltmarsh kind of reminds me almost a little bit, or the adventures sort of seem kind of like, almost like Innsmouth. I'm not saying that they have, like, the people turning into deep ones or anything, but I'm pretty sure, I believe, I should say, that Kuo-toa play a pretty big role in at least one of those modules, if not a recurring theme throughout all 3. But anyway, we have Saltmarsh here, And it gives, like, you know, the names of the important characters. So you have the town councilors, religious leaders, notable citizens, guild leaders, city watch, and militia. So and then you've got the map here with all the different locations. And I do plan on doing a comparison video because I believe that they're going to have the settlement of Saltmarsh detailed in the book, or at least I'm hoping that they're going to. And if they do, then I will be able to compare this directly. So that's kind of why I wanted to do this here. And with just a little bit of the artwork that we're going to go through, because there's some pretty cool stuff here. And it'd be interesting to see how much, if any, of this gets either recycled or sort of updated, or they have, you know, artwork that's sort of a callback to some of the things that we're going to see throughout the piece of material that I have to show here today. The one thing about, you know, Saltmarsh is that it is, you know, again, it was from like the AD&D days where Greyhawk was sort of their default setting. So this has like a lot of the Greyhawk deities mentioned here. It would be interesting to see, like, because it says the description on the website says that this is going to have information for how to adapt the adventures for any campaign setting, which they did in Tales from the Yawning Portal as well. But it seems like, and the Dungeon Magazine adventures, I think, are pretty much all in the Greyhawk setting as well. So it'll be interesting. Like, it's one of those things that just sort of begs for an actual campaign setting and to be released for Greyhawk instead of like Magic the Gathering settings. But again, I don't want to. I don't want to rehash all that stuff right now. That's, you know, a subject for a different video if I decide to do that. But anyway, that is the city of Saltmarsh itself. So the 4 adventures from Dungeon Magazine, and I'll go over the name of the adventure as well as the issue that they were from. I have 3 out of the 4, so I'm going to do these in chronological order in terms of when they were officially released. So the first one was an adventure entitled Isle of the Abbey, and that was from Dungeon Magazine issue 34. Now, to put things in perspective, I started collecting Dungeon Magazine, I want to say it was in, like, the issue numbers were either in the high 80s or the, like, 90 or, like, 92 or something like that. And that was in, you know, that was well into the, you know, 3rd edition run. It was actually only probably about a year or so removed, or prior to the release of 3.5. So that's when I started collecting Dungeon Magazine. So issue 34 was back in the days of Advanced Dungeons & Dragons 2nd edition, I believe. So, and it was probably pretty early on in that, because it was like Dungeon Magazine was bi-monthly for the vast majority of its publication run. To the best of my knowledge, was something that was done bi-monthly. Like, originally, like, the Dungeon Adventures would actually be part of Dragon Magazine, but they eventually spun it off into its own property. But this isn't like a history lesson of the magazine. That's just the one that I can't really show anything off for, because I just don't have it. So up next, again, this is chronologically, not in terms of level progression or even the order that they have them listed on the website. But the next one that they had from Dungeon Magazine came from issue number 106. Yeah, 106 is what's listed on here. So this was the January 2004 issue. And again, this was still a bi-monthly publication, I believe, at this point. Or may have gone monthly at this point, and was splitting duties between that and Polyhedron. Anyway. So this was Tamrot's Fate is the adventure, and I haven't read these adventures in over a decade, so I honestly don't remember much about them, but we'll at least read the little description that we have here, and I'll just flip through so you can see some of the artwork. So this was Tamrot's Fate by Greg A. Vaughn, and it says, a sunken ship, an island hermitage, and martial arts zombies. Give your heroes the fight of their lives. A D&D adventure designed for 6th level characters. Also, I'm just going to point out the cute cartoony black dragon, because black dragons are my favorite. But back to this. So martial arts zombies. That's going to be kind of interesting. I wonder if, because again, this takes place in the world of Greyhawk, So I'm wondering if like some of these martial arts zombies are part of like zombies from the Crimson, I think it's the Crimson Brotherhood, I think was the name of it. They were sort of like a group of like evil monks sort of thing. Um, so yeah, we got the artwork here. Just a little bit of, like I said, I'm not going to go into the actual full-on adventure or anything like that. I can do individual reviews for the modules after I get the actual copy of the 5th edition book, but again, I just wanted to show off like some of the maps, some of the artwork, and it'd be interesting to do sort of a comparison later on when I get the actual book. Some of the art in Dungeon Magazine was really fantastic, and not that this year's the best example. This is sort of more of a cartoony sort of look to it, which a lot of the 3rd edition Dungeon Magazine adventures had. But it would still be interesting to see if some of this artwork is, if not recycled again, just kind of referenced or have like callbacks to, because I think that would be kind of neat. So anyway, just wanted to show off again some of the stuff here. And actually, this one might not show up too well on the camera, but I actually really like that full page artwork there. So, okay, and that's that one there. It's a fairly decent sized module, actually. It looks to be about 30 pages or so in the actual magazine, so we'll sort of see how that goes when we get the final thing. So that was the first one that I have access to, the second one chronologically. Now again, they're going to be probably organized differently based on the level of play that you would be, because it's designed for characters of levels 1 through 12, I think is what they said for the book, the 5th edition book. So this isn't the order that's going to be in, but again, I'm just going to do this in chronological order. So then the next issue that we have here, or the next adventure, is entitled The Styes, and that is from Dungeon Magazine issue 121. It's got Grazit on the cover there. This was from April 2005. So the description for this one, whoops. If I get to the right page. So description for The Styes. So we got the little thing here. So this is by Richard Pett, the original author. So it says, once the Styes was the ocean gateway to a major city, her magnificent buildings crowning a man-made island held aloft on piers and boardwalks. Now it has grown old and diseased. Ugh. A perfect haven for sadists, cultists, and hungry things that flop and writhe. And this is for a group of 9th level characters. And we have what looks like an aboleth actually there, which is kind of neat, because this is artwork taken from the adventure itself. So, like I said, we'll just go ahead and look at the adventure here. And this one, just from the little pictures that they've shown, looks like, yeah, I like this. So this is one of the more sort of like realistic style of art. And again, there's just some fantastic artwork in some of these. So I'm not good at pronouncing names. I think that's Joachim Baron? Or Joachim. It's probably got sort of like an accent sound to it, but I'm really bad at those. Anyway, again, we'll just sort of look at some of the artwork, and this is just, again, for comparison purposes, to see if they actually do use some of this. And some of this artwork is just so good that I really hope they do just full-on recycle it. I'd be totally okay with that. Even though Paizo Publishing put out Dungeon Magazine during this era, everything in here is still owned by Wizards of the Coast. So we got the ship here, Dory's Warehouse. Oop. And oh my God, that's horrifying. Mr. Dory. Doesn't even say what male human corpse creature, rogue cleric. Interesting. It'll be interesting to sort of compare the stats and abilities too between some of the major NPCs and some of these issues. But there we go. We have the Aboleth. Although I don't know if do you actually fight him? Because I don't know if it's actually in here. There's some Trolls listed. Oh no, we have an Aboleth in there. Good old 3rd edition, the Aboleth with class levels. That's pretty cool. Again, the map's there. And whoop. And giant squid for good measure. Actually, there's a bunch of Aboleths apparently. So yeah, that'll be interesting again to see how they sort of work that one out. So that is the Styes. And then the last one that we have is entitled Salvage Operation. And this was actually only 2 issues later after the Styes. So this came out in Dungeon Magazine number 123 in June of 2005. So we had April 2005 and then June. So these ones are almost back to back, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. Again, they're looking for a cohesive theme for their adventures, and there's nothing wrong with that. So we have Salvage Operation by Mike Merles. So there we go, we got him there. So it says, years ago, a merchant's fortunes collapsed when a ship filled with his wares vanished on the high seas. 4 days ago, the ship was spotted again, listing terribly and adrift at sea. Will your PCs help the merchant recover the sinking derelict? Are they prepared for what lurks within? A D&D adventure for 2nd level characters. So this will probably be, I'd say this would probably almost be the introductory adventure, unless I don't know what the U module adventures, what their level grouping was. But I can't imagine it was for 1st level characters. I could be wrong. Let's see if we can find the adventure itself. Here we go. So this is sort of an in-between art style from the 2 that we had before. So you had sort of the more realistic look, then you have the really cartoony look. And this is sort of a nice balance between the 2. Off the bat, it looks like we got another giant squid or kraken. So there may be a little bit of overlap in terms of some of the creatures that we have. But again, this is for lower level characters as well. So we got our ship there. So the Emperor of the Waves. And oh boy, Krell Grolug, male half-orc druid. Okay. Okay, that's kind of interesting. And oh, that's a short adventure. Yeah, so ghouls. Sick old giant squid. Then we have Krell. Okay, well, and his pet snake as well. Monstrous spiders, because of course, orc zombies. Anyway, looks like it's going to be sort of, again, kind of an interesting thing. I'm really looking forward to seeing how these modules are updated. I can't wait to compare like the major villains and see sort of how they did them. For example, the Aboleth from was it the Styes? The one that was like a 6th level sorcerer and a 2nd level cleric or something like that. It'd be interesting to see sort of how they reproduce that for D&D 5th edition, where they haven't really done too much yet that I can recall, at least, by giving class levels to a lot of the different types of monsters. So especially multi-classing them, that's almost, I think, unheard of in the 5th edition. Again, I could be wrong. I just can't think of any examples off the top of my head. But anyway, so that's just sort of a, I guess you call it a sneak peek at some of the things that are going to be in Ghosts of Saltmarsh, which again is the new 5th edition adventure that comes out on May 21st. I can't wait to get my hands on this. Another side note, actually, is that the Ghosts of Saltmarsh is the first adventure book for 5th edition to have a variant cover. I can't think of any of the other ones that had this. So you have like the game store exclusive covers that they've done for Volo's Guide to Monsters, Mordecai's Tome of Foes, Xanathar's Guide to Everything. They're actually doing that for this this adventure book, which again I think is going to be pretty cool. And the artwork, you can see it on the Wizards of the Coast website. I think I'm actually going to use the alternate cover for the thumbnail in this video. I got an email from Wizards of the Coast, their press division, I guess, or the PR individual, which gave me some images to use as well. So that's going to be really cool. So you can check it out on the Wizards of the Coast website, or if you go over to my Facebook page, I'm going to probably post all 3 of the images as well, so that you can see that there. Anyway, thank you guys very much for watching the video, and let me know if you're looking forward to this collection of adventures, and if you think that, you know, the adventure collection format is something that Wizards of the Coast should do more often, or if they're spacing it out just right. And maybe let's do a little speculation. What do you think the theme might be for the next sort of collection of modules? So Tales from the Yawning Portal was dungeon crawling. This one has sort of a nautical theme. So if you have any thoughts on what the next series or what the next theme could be for one of these collection books, let me know that as well, because I think that'd be kind of fun to speculate on that. Anyway, thank you guys very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you next time. Take care.